welcome to week 9 of our course. So in this video I want to talk a little bit about your debunking stereotypes assignment that I've sent back to you guys, early part of this past week. So you have your grades, or maybe it was last week, but either way you have had at least a week to take a look at your grades and to read my feedback, and of course if you have questions or concerns you can always email me and we can talk about them further. Just a couple things that I want to point out about that debunking stereotypes assignment. One of the things I was most impressed with was your use of language. For the most part, everyone was really speaking or writing in a very succinct, concise manner, and that's not an easy thing to do, but you guys have really nailed it. I was very impressed. Typically in my 111 or my 112 courses, the language does tend to be very flowery and difficult to decipher based on the descriptive language or the extraneous wording. So you guys have done really well with that, and just keep that up because it's really important, especially when you're communicating a message. To communicate a clear message, it does require that you speak in a very succinct, clear, concise way. So you guys are doing great with that. Just make sure that you continue in that pattern as you write your second and of course third and fourth major written assignments for our course, and then in your discussion forums and everything that you do in our course, and then of course in future writing experiences as well. So I was very impressed with that. There were some grammatical issues. Some of you lost points on that language category because you had a lot of grammatical issues. So just if you have questions about grammar, I'm not a big stickler for grammar, but I do want you guys to think about grammar as it impacts your writing. I think everybody had some grammar issues, but if it didn't really hinder my reading experience as your audience, then it wasn't a big deal. But if I got stuck on missing words, or punctuation broke different phrases up, or there were run-on sentences, if there were things like that that really messed with the audience's experience as a reader, then at that point I took points off for your language, because at that point the grammar issues are hurting your argument, which is detrimental, of course, to the overall purpose of your writing. So just some things to think about. But I think the biggest issue that I ran into so far in the semester is, and this is not uncommon, especially in this first written assignment, there was a very informal tone to a lot of your work. So when you're writing future assignments for me, consider the fact that you're writing these major written assignments as a formal assignment. It is completely fine and sometimes very helpful to include a personal anecdote, but stay away from informal tags like "in this paper I will," or "it's my personal belief that." These things that identify, take us out of this formal setting that really break up the purpose of what you're doing. So keep that in mind. Again, it's great to start with an anecdote about a personal experience, or can make a connection between yourself and the topic. That's admirable, and it's very beneficial, especially from an audience standpoint, because it means that we understand how you relate to that topic. But that said, it's really incredibly important that you remember that we are still composing formal work for a formal assignment and a formal audience. So keep that in mind. I think my biggest pet peeve, which I'm sure some of you guys know by now, is that "in this paper I will." That informal tag is really harmful to your work overall, so avoid it at all costs. I assigned the work. I know that you're writing a paper for class, and so I don't need to read it again, or I don't need to be aware of it, because I already am aware of it. So just some things to keep in mind. I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't see very much of it, but I did see some of it. So I want to just make a point now. I do expect it in this first assignment. Just moving forward in future assignments, just be aware. But overall, you guys did really well in this first major assignment, and the first one is always the hardest because you're new to me and to my grading, so this is kind of a trial and error process for you. So I think the class average was an 80, which is really well done, so good job to you guys, and I'm looking forward to reading more work from you. Some of you did such profound work on this first assignment, and I was blown away. And I have commented and made notes all the way through your drafts in the margins so that you can see what I've had to say. Okay, the 9th week of our class is a short week because it is your fall break, so all you need to do for me this week is your peer review for your problem analysis paper. The rough drafts of those should be submitted in Google Docs and shared with me and your group members by Sunday night at midnight. So make sure that happens. Again, just submitting that draft, a half draft of the full is, and sharing it with me and your classmates gets you 100 points easy towards participation. So be sure that you do that by Sunday. If it's after Sunday, I can't give you credit for it. And then over the course of the 9th week, next week, all you'll do for me is do your peer review process and enjoy your fall break. And that's it. So I think this upcoming week is going to be one of the easier weeks that we have until Thanksgiving break. So enjoy it while you've got it. And if you have questions or concerns about your problem analysis, shoot me an email. I know a couple students have already sent me a thesis statement, a working thesis statement, to ask me what my thoughts were. That kind of thing I have no problem doing. So if you have questions about your thesis statement, feel free to send it to me. You know, I'm happy to take a look at something like that. I'm not going to proofread your draft, but I'm happy to look at something like maybe an introduction. Maybe you have questions about whether your introduction is an engaging one, or whether your thesis statement is working or strong, and I'm happy to take a look at those pieces and to communicate any notes that I might have. So that's really it. I hope you all enjoy your fall break and have a wonderful weekend, and we will talk soon.